Welcome back to our channel. In today's video, we're discussing some exciting news in the world of Formula One. Two-time world champion Fernando Alonso is hinting at a series of upgrades, beginning with the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. This news has sent shockwaves through the F1 community, and fans all over the world are waiting to see what these upgrades will be and how they will shake up the top order. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into Alonso's hints and what they could mean for Aston Martin's performance in this early stage of the season. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more F1 content and leave us a comment with your thoughts. Let's get into it. Red Bull's dominant start to the F1 2023 has many fearing that they will be unstoppable this year, having taken all three pole positions and race victories available so far. Alonso and his Aston Martin team have shown a similar impressive consistency, as Alonso has 3 P3 finishes to begin the season. Red Bull and Aston Martin are the early leaders in the constructors' standings, but with a 58-point gap, Aston Martin's early battles have been with Mercedes, while Ferrari is trying to reverse their decline. However, with Formula One now on a 4-week break before the Azerbaijan Grand Prix at the end of April, teams will be preparing the upgrades that they will bring for their challenges during the Europe-dominated leg of the season. Aston Martin, for example, has already confirmed that a new rear wing will be introduced in Azerbaijan. So we've reached the point in the campaign where Alonso believes the pecking order will begin to shift. It seems that qualifying is quite important now, because race pace is very similar, and I think now we enter into a part of the season that is going to be very interesting. Which team is developing the car faster? Said Alonso. I think the first 3 races, being away from Europe, it's difficult to bring upgrades and things like that. But from now on, maybe we see the level of the teams changing a little bit, race by race, depending on who brings an upgrade that is good enough. Aston Martin are without a doubt the most improved team between last season and 2023, with the P7 finishes in the 2022 Constructors' standings now second only to Red Bull in the current ranking, and they had Mercedes beaten for race pace before the Australian Grand Prix. However, Alonso stated that his team is not feeling the increasing weight of expectation, instead viewing the 2023 season as a learning process in which they will test their in-season development capabilities against heavyweights Red Bull, Mercedes, and Ferrari. It's all happy days at the moment, Alonso declared. We never expected to be on the podium, maybe even throughout this season, and in 3 races we have 3. So everything that comes now is a plus. We take every opportunity, and we need to learn, and we need to grow as a team. Also, maybe now off track because we are racing against Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, teams that are used to this kind of pace of development and things like that. Maybe we're just in a learning process, so we take this 2023 in a very humble manner and let's see how it's going. By finishing 7th last season, Aston Martin has a significant advantage over Mercedes and Ferrari in terms of wind tunnel development time, with a sliding scale in place to award more time to teams finishing lower in order to help them close the gap to teams ahead. And Aston Martin has the biggest buffer of all over Red Bull, who not only received the lowest allocation as the 2022 Constructors' Champions, but their allocation was also reduced by 10% for a minor 2021 cost cap breach. That means that while Red Bull is currently the clear leader in the new ground effect era, they are the team that is at a disadvantage and, in theory, could be left trying to hang on as the pack closes behind. Aston Martin has already demonstrated how quickly they can improve their performance, and seeing how Mercedes improved as the 2022 season progressed, so it will be premature to rule either squad out of a multi-team title battle this year. Nonetheless, the law of diminishing returns must be considered. Shaving 1.5 seconds off their deficit to Red Bull over the winter, Aston Martin team boss Mike Crack concedes it's not possible to repeat that, as they now have less scope to improve. In fact, he believes that even if Red Bull didn't make a single improvement to the RB19 this season, the remaining half second or so gap is too large to close this year. When asked if he thought the Aston Martin team could catch up to the Red Bulls, Crack replied, "There is a difference between confidence and arrogance. We are substantially behind Red Bull. Even if they stood still, the gap would be too big to catch up with them in one season. Of course, we take the fastest car as a reference. We just don't go crazy and constantly look at the distances with respect to Ferrari, Mercedes, and Alpine. We have to be realistic. We have to look up, but we also have to look at 3rd and 4th place. Things can change very quickly in the championship. We are not far ahead of Mercedes. As a team, you can quickly drop down the leaderboard." This season, Aston Martin has scored 65 points, 45 of which have come from Alonso's hat-trick of P3s. They are, however, 58 points behind Red Bull, with Mercedes' deficit down to 9 points. Crack admits that after making significant gains in the off-season, with Toto Wolff claiming Aston Martin gains of up to 2 seconds, there is now less room for further gains. That's because Red Bull simply has the best car overall, with the RB19 not being hampered in any way in cornering, straight line speed, and definitely not when it comes to DRS speed, with that said, to be 2 or 3 tenths faster than any other team's DRS. Alonso has admitted that Aston Martin's straight line speed is not their strongest suit, with the team having to run larger wings to compensate for a less effective diffuser. This results in a much more draggy car than Red Bull, though reserve driver Filip Drugovich claims that this year's car is less so than last year's. When asked what Aston Martin needs to improve on overall in order to compete for race wins, Performance Director Tom McCulloch responded, "Lap time relative to Red Bull. They're slightly quicker in the corners and definitely faster on the straights at the moment, especially the DRS switch as well. Those are the areas, but I do think we need to go to a few different tracks. These are atypical tracks, these first 3. While there is no doubt that Aston Martin has a better car this season than they did in 2022, Alonso must be credited for some of the team's improvements. The Spaniard has taken over for Sebastian Vettel as Lance Stroll's teammate and has only words of praise and encouragement for his new teammate so far." And Crack admitted that the fact that the Aston Martin mechanics had sung Alonso's name beneath the podium demonstrated how highly he was regarded. Though he downplayed Alonso's chances of winning a 3rd championship in the coming years, he's also insisted that age was not a factor for the Spaniard. "I think the most important thing is the speed and the desire to compete, or the desire to be competitive," he said. "I don't like to speak about age, about Fernando's age, about my age, also by the way. In general, I think it's really important how you keep yourself fit, how you keep yourself in, and what is your desire to do well. And this is something outstanding that Fernando is having." The 41-year-old began his F1 career in 2001, winning championship titles with Renault in 2005 and 2006, and currently holds the sport's records for most Grand Prix appearances, with 361 races entered as of this year's Australian Grand Prix. Despite initially intending to retire soon after winning his second of his 2 world championships in 2006, Alonso says he's still motivated as ever in his 20th year in Formula 1. "When I started in Formula 1, my idea was to be for 7 or 8 years, Alonso said in an interview. Then I won 2 championships and I thought I will race myself maybe 1 or 2 more years, then I will stop. That was my idea, and now I find myself with the longest career ever in Formula 1, and I'm still fresh, still motivated, and still enjoying every single day. I wake up in the morning and I'm happy with what I'm doing. So there is a few more years, I think, for me, and hopefully with a title contender in the future." Alonso's arrival at Aston Martin has coincided with a significant improvement in the Silverstone-based team's form. Alonso has previously stated that he did not expect Aston Martin to be this competitive so early in his tenure with the team, but has also since admitted that there was still much work to be done before a title challenge was possible. But what are your thoughts? Could Aston Martin challenge for the title in the near future? Do you believe the top will be reshuffled as Aston and other teams bring upgrades? Please let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Also make sure you don't forget to click the bell icon to receive notifications for our future uploads.